You, you're talking about what's the young buck's name? I literally just forgot his name now.
Daniel
Dubois. Okay,
Dynamite Dubois.
so I've sparred Dubois before.
Wow.
Mm,
You're joking.
I've sparred Dubois before. It was a while ago. But one thing I said, and it's weird, when he fought Anthony Joshua, I was talking to, no, sorry, when he fought Joe Joyce, I was talking to a friend of mine. He's very into boxing, and he was like, "Nah, man, trust me, Dubois, man, da 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 da." And I said, "He's a quitter." And he's like, "No, what makes you say that?" I was like, "Because I've made him quit before."
Mm.
And I don't mean it in like he just got frustrated. And I just says that that's a very telling sign of your mind. He's very powerful, and it's not just him. There's a lot of guys that depend on power. If it doesn't go well, or they get hit too hard back, they struggle with it. It's almost like a bully tactic to it. Like, I'm so used to bullying. When I get bullied, I don't know how to come out of it. Um, I think Dubois, is super powerful, and and to be fair, his last fight, he showed me otherwise.
Yeah.
So I think something is changing, which is good. And Anthony Joshua's last couple of fights, his attitude seems to be coming back, which is good. So weirdly enough, this is the perfect collision, perfect time for both of them. Because all the flaws that was seeing in both of them seem to be kind of coming too. But when Anthony Joshua's on and he has the right attitude, I'd say Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Dubois, I'd say probably the more skillful of the two. But I think Anthony Joshua is the smarter of the 2.
Mm-hmm. We had Johnny Fisher here 3 weeks ago. He's top 10 in the UK boxer.
Mm.
And he knocked his last opponent out in 36 seconds. He said he's sparred with Daniel Dubois, and he said that's the hardest puncher I ever faced.
100%. Which is why I was had to be on my A game, because if that guy touches me, it's a problem. Obviously, there's the weight disparity anyway,
Big time.
but if that guy touches me, it's a problem.
Yes.
Like, but which is why again he got frustrated because he wasn't able to land anything clean, which he's just used to, just like I said, just having his way.
Yeah.
And then again, when he got with Joe Joyce, and everything that you're landing is not working, and then he's still coming forward. That, I think, I'm sorry, I don't believe there was anything wrong with his eye. I think he was just like defeated, like. And then obviously with Usyk, there's argument about where low blow, blah 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 blah.
Didn't look like a low blow to me.
It wasn't. I don't think it was a low blow. But at the same time, Usyk is a very smart person, smart fighter, and even still, regardless of whether it was or wasn't, he was still winning that fight, and is gonna and beat you anyway. Pretty much on the same kind of thing. Again, I think sometimes he gets overwhelmed. If Anthony plays a very slow paced fight, he likes to be a bit more slow paced. If he plays a slow paced fight, it might maybe work against him. If he has that like the aggressive attitude and starts keeps the pressure on him, I think it will work. It will work against Dubois, because like I said, I've just seen him get frustrated too often and lose his head. But like I said, over the last couple of fights, he seems to have changed. So it's a good fight. It's a good timer for it.
Yes. You got Tyson Fury versus Usyk ×2. You know, the second fight's coming. I was a little bit shocked by that one, purely because I love Tyson Fury, big, long, tall, born natural fighter, and it felt like that Fury didn't use his size advantage to me as a non-fighter. Like, he should have bullied him more and built all over him. How do you see the next fight playing out, or do you know anything inside?
Yeah, it was a weird one to watch. I'm a fan of both of them. Big fan of both of them. I think Usyk, again, just a talented boxer, but so is Fury in his very awkward style, especially with his awkward size and length and so on and so forth. And it was a weird one, because I literally felt the first Usyk was right to push the pace, but the first 2 rounds he felt like he was kind of just figuring things out, and then he just started to kind of like slowly just like come back, and then he dropped him, and I'm like, oh, this is game over. And then randomly Usyk, it's like he just took his foot off the pedal. And I up till now, I don't get what happened because he didn't look that and that tired. He just was like, I don't know, maybe playing with his food for a bit too long. And then Usyk started to come back. Usyk caught him with a couple of shots, then dropped him, and then it just swayed again. And rightfully so, Usyk won that fight. But I was just confused because if Fury had just continued what he was doing, I 100%. I think it was by round 4. I was like, Fury's got this. 100%. Fury's got it. Then he dropped him. It was around 3 or whatever he dropped him. I was like, yeah, Fury's got this. And it just looked like he was going to get worse and worse. But yeah, again, I've watched a couple of times and I just don't get why he just randomly took his foot off the gas. If he decides to do the same thing and then continue pressing forward, then 100%, like he should win that.
Usyk is very good.
Beautiful. It's a southpaw as well.
Like, I know what you are now, and then he just goes for the full-on attack.
He knows how
to.
He figures you out. But anybody that kind of moves like that, you look at the other Ukrainian, one of my favorite boxers to watch right now is Vasyl Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. Sometimes he absorbs pressure and he's just moving around. His head movement and stuff, and he's figuring you out. He's just everything's just analyzing. And when he figures you out, those last like rounds, like 6 to 12, is a problem because he's just like bah, 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 bah. Everything you throw is like he's parrying, hitting you straight back with twos, and then slipping, and it's like trying to fight these flies.
No, bugging.
But it's Usyk has that ability. So again, if you don't try to kill him early and just keep that pressure on, so he doesn't have a chance to think. If you look at it, one of my teammates and my brother, Derek Chisora, fought him. That was a close fight, and we said, Derek, don't try to outbox this guy. He's too good. You cannot outbox somebody that has this amount of rounds and has just been in it for just on his amateur career alone, then his professional career. You can't outbox somebody like that, so don't try to. Oh, you can bully the hell out of somebody like that. You have to. It was all fitness and all power shots. It's all fitness. And if you looked at his last fight, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
It was fitness and power shots. There was times even I was biting my nails because I feel like he's powering down, and then he just came back again. And arguably that was a very close decision. And even they said, they're like, man, we was unsure. Like that was his team saying that after the fight. So yeah, if Fury's going to do that, he can. Obviously, he's more talented by way of his boxing skill, and he could probably outbox him. But why? If you're the bigger guy, like you said, you're the bigger guy. You got the skill, but just put pressure. Keep that pressure on him. Work your fitness. Work your gas tank. Keep that pressure on him. Or if it needs to go 12 rounds, but I don't allow him the space to be able to figure things out.
Yeah.
And again, you should win that one.
Okay, so you got Fury to do it.
It's different. It just depends on what Fury turns out. Sometimes it's just it's always hard to tell, man.
Well, he's just come off a loss now, and that loss must have really affected him, and he looks bitter about it. He's like,
he's good.
I'm gonna come back.
We've never seen him have to come back from something, so we don't know what Fury's going to turn up. But this is my point. You have to, if I'm tossing a coin, it's hard to put my money on Fury, because I don't know what's going to happen. Whereas Usyk's consistent, and he's been consistent the whole career. So if I had to, I'd probably put on Usyk. Like if I'm being safe, I'd say Usyk. But again, it depends on what Fury turns out, because it could be a complete opposite. But if I'm forcing to put my money down, I'm saying AJ for the first one and Usyk for the second one.
And finally, what's your prediction? Mike Tyson against Jake Paul.
Is that even happening anymore?
I think it's happening in November. I believe
it's come back.
Yeah. Mike Tyson got some bloody blood pressure coming off an
That's
aeroplane,
what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm sorry, but it's a waste of. I love Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
And I think any true combat fan, not even boxing fan, combat fan, loves Mike Tyson.
Ever met him?
No, I actually haven't. I had the privilege of meeting him yet. I actually want to go and do his podcast as well at some point. Hotbox.
Come on.
But yeah. It's just I don't even care to comment on it. It's just a stupid fight. I don't. Warner, the idea of potentially of having this visual in my head of Mike Tyson lying on the floor with Jake Paul standing over him, I hate every second of that.
If we go back to November of 1986, sorry, when he beat Trevor Burbick in 2 rounds to become the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. A lot of people can talk about Mike Tyson. Well, Mike Tyson wasn't really that great. Mike Tyson was. I want people to realize this. When you were 20 years old, what were you doing? When you were 20 years old, at 20 years old, you can't even urinate straight, right? Right. I just want you to realize this, right? And Mike Tyson at age 20, this is spookily scary, knocked out Trevor Burbick to claim the WBC heavyweight championship of the world. And Trevor Burbick wasn't known. Trevor Burbick has been in with good guys, been in with Larry Holmes, who's an all-time great, probably one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Beat Pinkland Thomas, who had one of the best jabs I have seen in heavyweight boxing since the great Sonny Liston, right? And he walked through Trevor Burbick like a hot knife through butter. At 20. Realize that. That's the thing that makes Mike Tyson so great. Forget about everything else that he did. Not only that, but he could intimidate everybody. Everyone's trying to fight him, right? Forget about all of that. But that's what made Mike Tyson great, because at 20, what discipline was instilled in that young man from Customato, right? To say, right, I want this tunnel vision, focus, and discipline. And for that, I give Mike Tyson all the credit in the world. I don't care anything else that he did. I'm saying you became the youngest man ever to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And then you went on to become undisputed champion as well. You beat good men in Tony Tucker. You beat good men in Bone Crusher Smith. You beat good men in Tony TNT Tubbs. You fought good men, right? We're going to say, oh, but they weren't great. No, but they were good men. And technically, they're head and shoulders, a lot of those guys are head and shoulders technically above the heavyweights that we've got today. Even though heavyweight boxing changed now, right? Usyk is a different kind of monster, right? But I'm saying to you, it is what it is. Mike Tyson is an all-time great, man.
He's one of my favorite boxers ever. You know, he's just. I want to be like, I'm Mike Tyson, you know, I'm the best ever. Like, he was just so entertaining inside and outside of the ring. And the thing is, he just didn't give a shit. He was just him all the time. He just said what he wanted to.
Well, he didn't originally start off like that.
No.
I mean, if you look at Mike Tyson's story, like when he was up in Catskills, when he was being trained or mentored, right, by the late great Customato, Mike Tyson wasn't filmed as this bad boy to say what you want. He was very, very respectful. You'd watch all his, because back then, like 86, you'd wake up early in the morning and you get the reruns that we on ITV, and you'd watch Mike Tyson, and I really liked Mike Tyson then.
Think of that whole scene of influencer boxing, misfits, all of that.
It's not boxing, it's entertainment. Fair play to them, make their money. That's fantastic, but I don't regard it as boxing. I regard it as sort of wrestling style entertainment. And yeah, it is entertaining. Sometimes you watch it and you think, oh, that's a laugh, but it can never be taken seriously, ever. And that's the danger, though. Like young kids coming through now, will look on my TikTok comments. They'll be like, "When you're fighting Jake Paul, you should fight Tommy Fury," and like they don't understand what we have to go through as professional boxers. I know Jake Paul trains really hard, KSI, and fair play to him for making loads and loads of money, and they're great businessmen. But I mean, come on, fighting a 60-year-old nearly Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, I've got no time for that.
How do you think that plays out? Because it is scheduled for November.
I think, well, considering that Mike Tyson had to be taken off a plane, didn't he, for having heart problems, I don't think they should be sanctioned at all, ever. It's wrong.
Who is your favourite boxer of all time?
I've got a few. Lennox Lewis being one of them.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Rocky Marciano. Yeah. Old classic guy. The modern guys, Joshua, Fury, love them two the most.
There's no Tyson in there? Mike Tyson?
Oh, Mike Tyson, unbelievable. unbelievable. But in terms of my favourites, probably Lennox Lewis, someone like that, Vitaly Klitschko. But Mike Tyson in his prime, watched him 18, 19, 20 years old, smashing people up who were like 10 years older than him, getting a world title at 20 years old, unbelievable.
Johnny, a big name has just been dropped. Yeah, everyone's talking about Chisora and you.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's just like putting you straight into that
Another
mix
legend.
now. He's like, you know, War Chisora, they call him, don't him? He's like a real veteran. Couldn't believe he beat Joyce. Couldn't believe that.
Yeah, I thought Joyce would be able to deal with him, but Chisora just keeps coming back. He's had 2 wins on the... Is it 2 wins on the bounce now? Who did he fight before? He fought someone else recently, but he just keeps coming back, and if he's still winning, Joe Joyce is a great name to have on your resume. So I've got a lot of time for Derek Chisora. He's a legend, and people have been bounding our names around. Eddie being the main man who's been doing that, and I feel a bit disrespectful to thinking like I'm calling for that fight. So I'm not calling for it, but if Derek Chisora came and said, let's have a fight at the O2, let's set it out, I want to do it, I wouldn't say no. It would be an honour to share the ring with Derek Chisora, and I think I'd have a good chance in. I'm not saying I'd win it, but I'll give a good account of myself, you know?
Yeah. How much of a task is it for Chisora being a 40-year-old?
That's the problem. Maybe if it was 3-4 years ago, I'd feel slightly differently. But age waits for no man, and he's been in some grueling fights, and I think Del Boy's a great character, and I think he's an unbelievable guy, unbelievable for British boxing. He'll go down and be remembered by a lot of people, and time waits for no man.
How important is timing in terms of when you're facing your next opponent? You know, if you go straight for Chisora, where do you go from there? You might be able to, you know, face an opponent like that. You might be able to get through a wall like that and show a lot of, you know, toughness. But is it too fast, too soon? Because you've had all these first-round knockouts. Not sure how much experience you're getting in the sort of actual ring. Fighting Chisora, imagine beating him. Where do you go from that?
That's the thing. It's not an immediate fight. It's whether it's just an idea that's been bounded about. I've obviously got Rudenko locked in for my next fight. That could give me some great experience. He could be he'd probably be my toughest fight to date. And then you assess from there. It's very important, as you say. You've got to look at one fight at a time. And all that's on my mind right now is beating Rudenko whenever that happens in the next month or 2.
How does it feel like when you're training for a fight? You've got your trainer there, you've got a manager there, you've got a whole team around you. What happens when you're in that ring and you're alone all of a sudden?
That's it. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Like, it doesn't matter how... This is the thing with boxing, it's quite unique in a way. You don't have 10 other football players on the pitch, you don't have 14 other rugby players. If you cut corners, it's going to show. And if you're moaning about coaches, trainers, managers, it's up to you to put them all into line, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to be seen in the ring and be accountable for what's happened in the camp. So you've got to take an onus on that and be the boss. Unfortunately, without sounding arrogant or belittling the other people, you've got to be in control, because the only person it comes down on when it all goes wrong is you. That's the bottom line. And you're the one who takes the punches in the head. No one else does. Not your manager, not your trainer, not your promoters, not your strength and conditioning coaches. They're all part of your team, but the one who's going to be getting punched in the face is you.
Does it ever get to you mentally?
No. I love it. I absolutely love what I do. I get to go up and train every day. I love training. It keeps my head screwed on. If I couldn't train, I think I don't know what I'd do. It keeps me sane, for like it does for a lot of people. So yeah, I absolutely love the ability that I've got to go and train and do something I love every day.
Before you're ready to challenge for a major title, what milestone do you feel that you need to hit?
I don't think of it in that way, Sean. I don't think I have to hit anything. I think the map is in my destiny of where I'm meant to go. All I have to worry about is winning the next fight. There's no milestone I think of in my head that I think, well, I've got to do this amount of this or do that. It's all mapped out already. All I've got to do is dedicate myself 110%, and then the rest will follow.
I like going to the gym myself.
Yeah.
I go there every morning,
Yeah.
maybe 5-6 times a week.
Yeah.
It keeps me happy.
Yeah.
I like to think I train hard.
Yeah.
You know, one day, like, I have my 2 days where I do my 5K runs.
Yeah.
I do my bodybuilding on 2 other days, and then a couple of other days I do a Pilates, yoga. Get the
It's good to do that.
out.
All the flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely. All of them things.
Do you do any sauna?
Not anymore, because I go to a simple gym that doesn't have it, but I used to do it before. But
sauna's really good.
Yeah,
I like using that, especially after you do a run. If you get in a sauna straight after a run, it actually accelerates and accentuates your cardiovascular fitness because your heart's still doing a lot of work.
Okay,
Keeping where your temperature's going up. So there's a lot of science in the sauna, obviously releasing toxins and stuff. I really like using the sauna.
So what I'm getting to here, Johnny, is I want to put myself through some training now.
Yeah.
I want to go through some training, like on my own with my headphones and stuff like that. But I want to pretend I'm training for a training camp. What does a camp look like? Tell us from the inside. What does your days look like as leading up to the Rudenko fight, for example?
You can't go out, can't drink. You've got to stay in your house as much as you can. You've got to cut back on things like this as much as you can when you get to 4 or 5 weeks out. If you're out too late, my dad will be ringing me saying, no, you're too late. My mum won't let me do this. You need people like that reminding you. All it is you go up, you wake up, have a nice breakfast, go training, come back and sleep, go training again, then get in a sauna afterwards, walk your dog in between all that, have a bit of food at home or in your local restaurant where you can chill, go to sleep, do it all again the next day. No going out on Friday nights, Saturday nights. You might be able to go around your mum and dad's for a little bit, but you've got to be at home resting as much as you can. The rest is just as important. It is military style. Yeah. That's what it is.
How important is the food side?
It's the most important part. The food is your fuel for your sessions. I've just got a nutritionist on board, Lee Rickard, really good guy, and he takes a lot of stress off of me. And he educated me a lot on food because you think you know what you're doing, but you don't. And it's all about hydrating yourself properly, eating at the right times, eating leaner foods. And I've really noticed a change in my body shape the last 6 months because I've really tightened up all my nutrition. Yeah. That's the little 3, 4, 5% that you need to get to the next level. So food is fuel. It's not food, it's fuel for your training, and that's what you've got to remember.
Do you feel stronger with the new nutrition going in?
I feel stronger, I feel leaner, but I'm still the same weight. My body fat's come down. That's just the byproducts of it. But that's a nice feeling, and you feel fit and strong. I feel powerful, and I wake up in a good frame of mind, and I know that I'm doing everything correctly, and that's good for your mental side as well, because you know you're ticking boxes mentally. That's just as important. When you eat bad food, you feel bad. You are what you eat at the end of the day.
Well, talking about food, I know you do like a certain Chinese.
Yes, I do. That's what's had to change the most. I used to love the Chinese on a Saturday night. I don't even have that anymore. When I had the Chinese yesterday, we had a Chinese sit down. I have boiled rice, and the Blue Orchid made me like a beef Cantonese style dish, which is just like really fresh beef with vegetables in it, ginger, soy sauce. It is absolutely beautiful. I don't have any of the sweet and sour chicken balls, lemon chicken, sweet and campo prawns. I can't have any of that. I just have the boiled rice with a nice bit of beef Cantonese style, and it's nutritious. The Blue Orchid's a great place. They cook everything fresh, and I can enjoy that guilt-free.
How important is it to eat well even when you're not in camp as well?
That's what I've had to change. I've had to make sure that I eat well all year round, not just like listen, after a fight, I had the 5 guys have something else bad on a Sunday, and then this fight, I just thought, right, that's enough now. I want to get back to eating healthy, because I used to spend 5-6 weeks eating rubbish, and I'd not get really fat, but you notice a little bit difference in your body composition, and you feel sluggish, and it's just like a big clawback. You've got to train for 4 weeks to get back to any sort of fighting fitness, and then you've got to have your camp on top of that. There's no benefit of it, and the bottom line is you don't feel better after eating rubbish for that long. It just becomes a habit. So get into good habits.
Johnny, how do you handle pressure? I mean, you've got an immaculate record, 12 wins, 11 knockouts. You know, how do you go in that ring? Like, does that element go, if I lose, I got a blemish on my record?
Yeah, there's an element of that. I never want to lose. No one wants to lose as a competitor, as a sportsman. But if you do lose, you take it on the chin. And if you lose in a good manner, that's just as good. And it's always different after it's happened, you know. Mm-hmm. You take a different outlook on it, but I never want to lose. Who wants to lose? No one wants to lose. Winning is everything.
How do you recover after a grueling fight?
Little holiday, chill out with my mum and dad. And like after this fight, it wasn't a grueling fight, obviously, but I took them to Mallorca. We chilled out there, spend time with your family, just relax in the sunshine, you know, and mentally rest more than anything, not just physically. Just you could just mentally just decompress and enjoy a few days of not having to worry about anything.
Nice. You said you sparred quite a few people. You've sparred Joe Joyce,
Yep.
David Allen, Tyson Fury,
Daniel Dubois,
yeah,
Derek Chisora,
Oh,
Carlos.
you've actually sparred him as
Yeah,
well.
recently, a few weeks ago.
Wow.
Yeah,
How was that?
very good, very good. I don't talk about sparring because it's like a gentleman's agreement, but really good sparring. Derek always gives great work, and you know you're going to get intense rounds. So it's brilliant going to spar Derek. It's a bucket list thing for me to spar someone like him. So yeah, sparred him. Carlos Takam, Fabio Wardley, Fraser Clark. There's more. I'm trying to think who else there is. Eddie Hall, the world's strongest man.
Oh yeah,
that was unbelievable. He can really punch.
Really?
By the way, he can whack. He's probably just as powerful as Daniel Dubois. But yeah, there's been loads of different names I sparred. Trying to think, Chris Billum Smith, the world champion at cruiserweight. Really enjoy sparring. So how I've had to learn my craft, you know.
Yeah, I mean, who's been
Filip
your
Hrgovic.
Who's been your favorite?
Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
Going up to spar Tyson Fury. I remember hitting the bag before I was going to spar him. And I thought, is this even real? I was only 21, 22 at the time, and I thought, is this even real? This is like one of my heroes, one of the country's heroes.
Yeah.
And getting to spar him, and what a down to earth man he was, and his whole family, and yeah, they're just normal geezers.
How elusive is he? Because he finds angles and gaps and everything.
He finds angles and gaps, but he also uses his strength well and is able to grapple you well. And I'm a good grappler because I played rugby, and I'm good at using my strength. But you could feel his experience, you know, and he's playing around. He's sparring 3 or 4 guys at one time in one spar, and I was just lucky enough to have a few rounds with him, and it was brilliant.
Is it any different fighting somebody that tall, nearly 7 foot?
Yeah, definitely. You have to close the gap a lot more. You don't want to be at the end of someone as elusive and as gangly as Tyson Fury. Like, you won't get near him if you're too far away, you know. Who's
the hardest puncher you faced?
Daniel Dubois, without a doubt, hardest puncher. Joint with Eddie Hall, actually. Eddie, my good friend. He can seriously whack as well.
Has he got the stamina?
Not as much as Daniel Dubois or any of the other guys, but you don't want to bear hug Eddie Hall either, because he can seriously. I remember I've done that. I thought, I'm going to just try and grapple him just to see what it's like. And I thought, right, I'm never doing that again. He squeezed me to death.
Amazing. Well, I've got a quick fire round questions for you.
Nice one.
And yeah, let's go through this.
Go on.
Your nickname in the ring and how'd you get it?
Romford Bull. Got it in Vegas when an American guy said, "You fight like a bull, man. Where are you from?" I said, "Romford." He said, "You're the Romford Bull."
Come on. Pre-fight meal?
Pre-fight meal, something very basic. Bit of plain pasta, maybe a bit of chicken breast, nothing exciting. And then in the changing room, have a Rice Krispie bar, something a little bit carby to fuel me up for the fight.
Any hidden talents outside of boxing?
Hidden talents outside of boxing, nothing like a talent, but I've just got a real interest in history, and I'm good at writing essays. That's what I would say. I got the highest mark in my year for my synoptic essay on the Russian Revolution at Cooper's, and that was a really intense essay where you've got to pull different leaders from different eras and then make synoptic links of different themes going through it, and I really enjoyed that. More of a geeky thing rather than a talent.
You're really articulate, I have to say.
Yeah.
You're not just sporty.
I love history.
You speak with a lot of stuff that you've read.
I feel that. I like reading. I've read lots at university. I've done a lot on Napoleon's history as well, just through on my own. I didn't study him as part of my subjects, but I did a little A-level on him, but for my history degree, it was more on the Russian Revolution. But I love reading about famous leaders and different military battles, you know.
I've heard some conspiracy theorists as well about the Rothschilds and Napoleon losing, but the English saying, you know, the French won, so the stocks in the UK went down and they bought them all up cheap.
It wouldn't surprise me, things going on in this world. But, yeah, interesting stuff.
Your fight playlist, what have you got in the bank?
Let's get out.
Before you're coming out, getting you punched.
Let me have a look here. Let me have a look. So I've got two for the last one. Like I make a new one every time. I've got Babbage 1 and Babbage 2.
Okay.
Babbage 1 is like all more relaxing ones. When you start getting into the change room, you're chilling out a little bit. Got a bit of Zach Bryan, obviously, Pink Skies, Glory of Love, Peter Cetera, I think his name is. A few more songs by Morgan Wallen. Just like some nice, easy listening country songs, Luke Combs, generic ones.